The fabrication of our identification comes as a new setback to this generation. Buy this, purchase those, consume that, invest in these. It is no wonder that we cannot ponder and let the mind wander the weight of our actions, because you see, our actions are not our own, they're not homegrown, and we are all just part of society's drone. And it's not until you realize that the story is something that we can revise. Sister and brother all come from Earth Mother to unite with one another. Christianity, Judaism, Buddhism, Hinduism, the way that we preach is how society will teach. And is it really a reach that they are all the same, born of the same flame, all united by one aim? Preach salvation to ensure there's no deviation from the mold of creation as society's citation. Silence is what we know. It's how we learn to grow, but we will never learn to glow. If noise is what is distressing, then it is quite depressing, because we can cheer for the football game, but to preach sustainability is lame. Humans are for respecting while other beings are below. This is society's echo when we tear through the earth looking for coal. I live with earth. I don't simple-mindedly see what she can be worth, thus reducing her girth. To diminish the gifts left to us by years of ships and ocean waves protected by the braves, the earth cannot always forgive. This is no way to live, because at some point she will have no more to give. Drink your milk so you can grow, get your calcium so you have strong bones, curl your hair, paint your nails, make the boys stare, compete with other females. But what can I drink for my soul? What nutrient will help my spirit grow? What beauty product do I use to make my inner beauty glow? When you told me I can't live my dream job because I came out a girl, you put my life into a whirl. 2017, the year of progression, but what about all the inequality still unseen? We still have suppression. Black lives matter, but so do blue. You can be a CEO, but not if by you mean a girl. Before I even exited the womb, society planned my life from birth to the tomb. Society decided I was going to perform ballet. My voice I would have to downplay, and I would marry a rich man and work at home someday. Is this my ecological identity? Is this the earth left for me? Is this going to be my legacy? As long as you don't let yourself slide and become blind to the truth, allowing others sell to you how you should do you, and give you fake news because it's better to all share the same views. This way no one can refuse the societal cues to accuse brother and sister for crimes and twos, because they don't have the color skin that society can excuse. Society tells me to sit down, to always hide my frown, and to keep my feelings bound. Well then, I have a message for society too, because it's not until you realize, the story is something that you can revise. Society cannot control me. I am a being, I am free, and I identify as me. Hide my pain, keep my opinions in vain, stay in society's lane. You're pretty, you're slender, you're tall, you're attractive. This is what society named me. Appearances is all that matters, it appears to be. But I cannot be claimed, and I will go to the grave before I'm ashamed for not being what society named. I cannot be perfect, and I'll never be the same, and I'll never fit into society's main frame. I identify as a storm, I identify as outside the norm, and I will not conform. I am the wind in the trees, I am an ocean's breeze, I am the lake in winter you see freeze. I am no one's pawn, my presence cannot be withdrawn. I can say that I am me with pride, because I can put society aside, allow my soul to be my guide. I am the stars in the night sky. I am the sun you kiss goodbye. I am a mountain standing high. I'm energetic, I'm blunt, I'm curious, I'm empathetic. I am more than what appears to be, and my soul is deeper than the sea. It is not until you realize, the story is something that you can revise. I am a being, I am free, and I identify as me. Who are you?
Pretty cool. A statement of ecological identity. So there's another way to get about this, or get to this as well, thinking about who I am not, right? This can become really complex, right? I am not my name, right? It's just a title. It's just a space. It could have been anything that my parents had chosen. Names change. My name has changed a number of times because of marriage and divorce. Heritage and culture are the underlying reasons of names sometimes, but not exactly your true essence, right? So I am not my body. I'm not my body. That seems very confusing, or could be, but Our epidermis sees, the skin sees a certain amount of wear and tear. It's our outermost protection. These skin cells rejuvenate every 2 to 4 weeks. Hair has a lifespan about 6 years for women and 3 years for men as we continually shed and grow. The liver is the human detoxifier, purifying a wide variety of contaminants from our system. It's largely, it remains immune to damage because it renews itself with cells every 150 to 500 days. Happens in our stomach. Because our stomach always has those acids in it, stomach cells rejuvenate every 5 days. There are all these crazy things going on inside of us, right? Our body is constantly shifting and changing. A very dear friend of mine, Will, who I'll say a little more about later, had to have his stomach removed because of cancer. And it was a very intense process that he could not identify with his body anymore because his body was so sick, right? They're taking significant parts away. We are not our bodies, right? We are what's happening other than that. The spirit, the true being was still him. I'm not my possessions. I'm sure at this point we've talked a lot about that. The clothes I choose don't make my identity. It might be the way I express myself, demonstration of who I am. The car I drive does not make me me. It might be how I choose to express the real who I am. Not my social media profile. What you're seeing on that social media are those momentary snippets that people want the world to see. It's not somebody's complete reality. It's not who they are. I'm not my thoughts. This is a tricky one for me. But our thoughts are racing all the time, right? It's warm out. I should have worn shorts. Or today, it's colder than yesterday. I should have worn a jacket. And all of that going on in the background to what's really you, right? Thoughts come and go. They're so fleeting. It's almost like a little roommate talking in there, but it's not who we are. I'm not my ego. The ego is one of 3 divisions of the psyche in psychoanalytic theory that serves as the organized conscious mediator between the person and reality by functioning in both, right? But we aren't our ego. That's just something that's going on as part of our story, but it's not who we are exactly. So when you take all these things away, what's really left, right, is this real essence of who we are that builds up our experiences and from our relationships, but not because, not the relationships themselves, what's underlying. So when it comes time, as you're thinking about your ecological identity, that assignment is back on page 80 of your journal. Thinking about, well, first you have to believe that you have one, this connection to the ecos, to the world. There's no right or wrong answer. It's the bigger story of who you are. So, as you're thinking about it, ask Earth, ask Ancestry, ask the universe. We're all artists, we're all creative, and we'll talk more about that on Wednesday. So when you're considering this, get to the real core of your connection. Another way to look at this is, what's the big picture? So once when I was sitting in seats like you are, listening to somebody speak like I am, when I was in college, somebody did a talk about keep the main thing the main thing. Keep the main thing the main thing. So you figure out, what is your why? What is your why about being here? And then that underlies, it plays throughout your whole life. The choices that you make, the interactions that you have. What is your why? So how is it This is the biggest question, right? Thinking back to the second class that we had together, that idea of asking questions. This is the biggest one about the choices that you'll make. Why am I making that choice? Why? Keep the main thing the main thing. What is your main thing? What is your why? So it's through this process, when I let go of who I am, I become what I might be. We are far less than nouns like job titles and names and ages and genders than we are active verbs. The idea that we're relating, that we're questioning, that we're creating, that we're evolving. It's a maturing. Several of you spoke about that yesterday. I feel like I'm maturing, that you're figuring things out, that process of growing into being me. It's a lifelong journey, right? And it's something that we work on with others and with ourselves. And reflecting on who we are, the discrepancy between who I am and who I want to be, this is a mathematical symbol for change. Change. And somebody in my life, the director of Shavers Creek, when I started working there, said, change is the only constant. Right? We're constantly evolving, but it's all kind of based on this why, who we are underneath. So that friend Will, here he is. He lived by some very cool tenets. Every moment is a golden moment to the person that recognizes it. We have a choice to be driven by fear or to live in love. We can and will face our fears, but we don't have to choose fear. Open to expansive love. So he had to shift his mindset in significant ways because of his health, but then also because of his work and how he chose to be in the world. His focus was on being, not so much on doing. That idea of living in our integrity, being who we are. And as we dive into understanding our identity, that's really a cool piece, is figuring out the integrity when we are in complete alignment. So because of your experience with journaling in this class, some of you have asked about a journal option after BiSci. And these are two things that Will wrote before he passed away. A guided journal called Ask Powerful Questions. And then he also wrote a book about creating conversations that matter. And so I highly recommend this because Will was a pretty deep thinker, a deep feeler, and he knew about the power of journaling. So this is something that I offer to you as an option. So how does this all play together? I think I'd like you to take a moment and think about, have another conversation with your partner and see what's coming up for you right now. Does anyone have any thoughts? Thoughts or feelings that you'd like to bring up now?
I have one in the front.
Thanks, Hunch.
Hi, Jen.
Hi.
I was talking to my partner, Dom, and we were both expressing similar feelings about how it feels kind of weird and upsetting to not have an answer to, like, what's my why or who am I? But then Dom said something that kind of helped me feel better, which is that, like, maybe that's what our journey in life is that, like, maybe we won't know, but that's, like, the point of life, is to try and figure it out.
Thanks, Maddie. Thanks, Dom. Other thoughts or feelings?
We have one up on the balcony.
Thank you.
I really agree with the person who just went. I think there's something comforting in not knowing, because it does feel like the whole point. At least for me, I'm not really a religious person, and I was talking with some of my lab mates earlier about why we're here. I was like, I don't know, I don't really care, but I'm here right now, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I kind of find some comfort in just being me, and it doesn't really matter how I got here or where I'm going, as long as I can continue to do that. And I appreciate you talking about Will. I got to meet him a couple times, but it's nice to learn a little bit more.
Yeah. Thank you. So Will's theme, it's hard for me to talk about this without crying, but Will and I had a lot of conversations about expansive love. And so what happens if we give ourselves that gift as we move through life, right? As we are figuring out these connections, to give ourselves this gift and to give other people this gift of expansive love. So I'd like you to, if it helps, to write that phrase down. And then this idea of our why, it's the things that you will never bend on. It's the things that pop culture will never sway you on. That no one will ever change your mind that your thing is the wrong thing or a bad thing. It's the thing that underlies your deeper happiness. And so, as an exploration, and always know it's always an exploration, this is your pack-back prompt. The main thing is to keep the main thing the main thing. What is your main thing? What is your why? How does it shape your everyday life? How does it help you relate to others or to Earth? How does it connect to your course of study or not? And so really thinking, like, what's those things that you will never bend on? And just explore and give yourself some expansive love. And I hope that you have a beautiful day. Thank you.